Hi, how are you doing? Hope your day started well. Hope it's going well. Lunchtime now, and it's a great time to have a conversation about what it's like to be a working mom. I'm super excited because I've got Cecile, the Frenchy mummy, and she's going to be joining us in a minute. But thank you guys for joining in. How are you doing? Hope your day is going well. Hope the year has started well for you. This is our first live this year, I think. Is it our first live?
Yes.
It is. First live of 2023. I'm super excited because the conversation about now is all about, there's a lot of conversation about obviously new year, new me and new year resolutions, but I keep seeing this phrase called soft life everywhere I turn. And I think so many of us are tired of just grinding and pushing ourselves and having unrealistic expectations that it ends up just, bringing us down instead. And I am definitely here for living a soft life, living a more peaceful life and not being so stressed and overwhelmed. So we're going to wait for Cecile to join. How are you doing? Hey, thank you so much for joining. Nice to see you all. I haven't got my glasses on, so I may struggle a little bit to see your names and to see the questions, but yeah, but it's been great. It's been good. I deliberately avoided going on to the whole new year, new me thing because I think sometimes you can get so overwhelmed consuming too much good stuff because it's possible, isn't it? Let's see. Hi, Victoria Campbell. Oh yeah, there we go. There is Cecile. And so I deliberately avoided. Thank you. I deliberately avoided consuming too much motivational and inspirational stuff at this time of it. Hey
Hi,
Cecile, hi. How you
hi.
doing?
I'm good, thanks. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's
You know
freezing,
what?
but
Yeah, and you look amazing as well. And I just feel as soon as you came on, I literally felt like she's brought some sunshine with her because you've got the smiley face, your great
I
personality.
I've got my face on today. Normally, when I'm at home, it's super casual, but I thought I would make an effort today, guys.
Oh, I know. You look
You look
so
fabulous.
good.
Well, I love your earrings.
Say again?
I love your earrings.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought I'll make an effort too, since I'm on camera.
You've got a watch, a Fitbit. Are you doing it? Like, how strong are you with it?
I struggled a little bit. When I first got it, it's an Apple Watch. I was doing so well and I was excited about it. But then now I just haven't, because of the Christmas period, I was home the whole time. I didn't put it on at all. So
I
I
was gonna.
lost track.
I
Were
don't know
you as
what it. I
well?
was gonna have one, but
Exactly. But now I mean, I think, where did I do? Okay, I went because I normally use the treadmill in the mornings, but by the time I'm downstairs, I've forgotten the watch upstairs and like I can't be bothered to go and get it. But it's now feeling like I'm exercising and nobody knows I am, including myself. So I started wearing it again.
that's a good thing. Yeah, that's really good. I think like I need to be better with that, like counting my steps and things. But my friend has one and it says apparently when your heartbeat goes faster. So she was like, "Oh yeah, apparently I've got a high heart rate right now." And I'm like, "Keep saying that's stressing me out. I don't
That's
want it."
Do you know what? But what you can do is not necessarily have all of those features going because I don't have, I know it's on here, but I don't use that. So it gives me certain warnings, different times of the month and all of that stuff. And then when I'm exercising, it tells me. And but the one irritating thing it does is when it says time to stand, because you're meant to stand at least 10 to 12 times a day. And so if I've been sitting nonstop, it goes, I just get this, and it's got can't remember what it's called, taptic or something, where you actually feel like it's tapping you, and it says time
Oh,
and
that's a
it
good
beeps a little
reminder.
bit. Yeah. And it says time to stand, and I'm like, listen, I've been standing all day, why didn't you count that?
I would need one actually because I'm very stationary on my computer and I can stay
uh,
hours.
yeah, yeah, so that's where it comes in very, very handy. It really does. Oh, well, thank you for doing the live with us. I can't wait to talk in. The whole thing about work-life balance, is it a myth? Let's even start with that. Is it a real thing? Is it even possible? Is it a myth?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting. I think it's more like how to describe it. You know, people tend to use the word balance,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's obviously going to be impossible because let's be honest, life is going to be overwhelming. I mean, we've seen it like 2 years ago. It was such a big difference and massive changes with COVID. So I don't usually use the word balance. I like to think of it as an harmonic life because there are times in my life when things are going to happen and I am not going to have this balance. So kind of a miss, yes, but I think it's still possible to have routine tips and, you know, techniques in place for you to feel okay, more
Yeah.
like harmony.
I love that. For you to feel that way. So not necessarily following the rules and regulations of some guru who has said this is what it should look like, but it's more about how we feel on the inside, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it's all about us emotionally, I think, more or less, you know.
I
And
agree.
it's very different story to everyone. Whatever I do personally might not work for other people. Your
Yeah.
lifestyle, your work, your family, you know, it's so many things to take in account. And I always love talking about this, you know, having a balanced work life.
Yeah.
Um, because I work from home and I'm a freelancer, and it's something I used to struggle a lot, and I think I made some progress. And I think it's very important for women. There's so many moms out there, parents, who still feel this struggle, and there's still ways to help support to make it feel not so overwhelming, not so bad. There's still ways, possibilities to change it and feel good with yourself and with your family and everything.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you 100%. One of some of the things that I have had to do, like I've got four sons, and then I have a husband as well. So it's like it's a whole big house of people.
How do you balance it all? Because I mean, it sounds crazy. I don't even.
You know what? Because it's been very different for every stage of our lives. Because obviously, when they were really young, and I've always, well, maybe not always, when they were very, very young, I worked outside the home. I used to work as a medical rep for a pharmaceutical company, and then yeah, very, very different to what I'm doing now. So I worked as a medical rep for a while, and even then, it wasn't too bad because it wasn't office based. I was always on the road, and my mom came from Nigeria to spend quite a lot of time with us a lot when they were quite young. So it wasn't too bad. But as they've gotten older and their needs have changed, I think that the most challenging season for me was when they were in primary and secondary school, because I could see that they were rapidly growing. And I also began to worry that my time with them was slowly coming to an end, as they get older. And I started to worry more about memories. What would they remember me as? So by this time, I'm obviously running my business, and I'm always on my laptop, always. So I thought they're going to be worried, thinking when they think about their childhood, I don't want them to think mommy was always on the laptop and we never had dinner together as a family and we didn't do anything. So I became more intentional about that, but I was still rather stressed. But I agree with you that it's more emotional, because I eventually came up with a system that worked for me, and I've sort of left it to the side, but I'm picking it up again, which is to divide my life into, I think I had 5 categories, and it later became 6 because I added finances. So it is the family, the house, my at the time I was writing a blog. I still have a personal platform on where I talk about mindset and faith and business. So that was one on its own. And then I added myself as a person, because I noticed that I did not feature on any list at all. Right? Do you
That's what
find
a
that
lot of
the
moms
case?
do. They just forget themselves. That's what moms do. They just forget
Yeah.
themselves because, and I think that's very important. Like
Mhm.
that's what I do now well, but it took me time. When I was a first time mom, I didn't deal with the situation well at all. I had like my baby in 2016, and I
Mhm.
had these honeymoon periods when it was just him, you know, him and I, my maternity leave. I think also that's very interesting. You said when they were in primary school, you were struggling a bit more. I think when they're little, we are more conscious of it and we make more effort. So I
Yeah.
was really in this bubble with my baby. And then when I had to go back to work, that's when it wasn't working so well. I was a teacher back then in South London, and I came back part-time. I was always feeling overwhelmed and frustrated on both sides. Like, I would be feeling guilty to drop him at the nursery because he was barely one. He was always sick the first month, so I would have to call him and say, sorry, I can't come in today. I only work 3 days a week, but I'm not going to make it. So you have this constant guilt and overwhelmed because it was a new situation, and I just needed to adapt, and it took me some time, I think. And in life, as you said again, there are different times. When they were little, your boys, you had a different job, and when you started your business, it was a new routine, it was a new life for all of you. I mean, how long have you had your shop now? Quite a bit.
So the shop itself, I've had that for 6 years exactly, in January this year. But prior to that, it was online. So everything. So we did have a shop, but it was an online store. And
You have
so
to build it and everything. Yeah, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
it is. It is a lot of work, and because of the way that I started the business, it meant, obviously, and like you, like most women who start businesses from scratch, you start alone, don't you? Like, it's literally just you by yourself. You're the logistics
Yeah.
person. You're the
I
accountant,
know.
everything.
But it's kind of what I like about it. And I will, I think, I don't know about you, but when I started the Frenchy Mummy, it
Mhm.
was not supposed to be a business at first. It was more like I wanted an outlet for myself because I was in this bubble. I loved being with my son. We were going for walk. And after a few months, I was like, okay, first milk in the morning, then he has a nap, then I take him for a walk, then lunch, a bit of cleaning, this. And I was like, oh, that's rather nice. It was quiet, it was not busy like work
Yeah,
before. And after 3 months, I was like, okay, this is lovely, but I need something else. I need an outlet for myself. So I
yeah.
started the French Mummy like that. And I was really scared. I just remember thinking about doing a blog because when I was looking for items like a coat or a buggy, I
Mhm.
remember reading a lot of reviews and I was like, I love that. I would like the idea of having a blog. I'm quite opinionated. I can give my opinion about things. And I was really scared. I thought about it for 2 or 3 months and I didn't do it. It was just in my mind, but I
Just
was
in your
stopping
mind,
myself
yeah.
because I was not confident. And then one day I thought, okay, I have to do it. I have to take the plunge, otherwise it's never going to happen. And when I told my partner, he laughed, not in a bad way, because I am not technical. I used to
Mhm.
be a teacher, but he would help me all the time with my PowerPoint and things. And the first thing he said was, I'm not helping you. I don't have time. I'm doing everything else. So if you decide to go for it, you're going to have to do it on yourself. And I remember thinking how grumpy you are. That's why I thought I would call him grumpy boyfriend. And that always stick. People keep asking me, is he that grumpy? I'm like, no, it's just a joke because he was so grumpy when I started the blog. But I did what a lot of people do, how to
Yeah.
start a blog. It's like the book for dummies, basically. What happened before internet? How did people start in business before
Yeah.
internet? Or they
That's
would use their network. But that's how I did it. Then I was like Googling everything. I mean, coding. I remember thinking about a website. I don't know how you did it, but it was so many technical terms. I was like, oh my God, widget, what is that? I was Googling everything.
everything.
It was scary, but it was exciting to have a project like
Yeah.
a new
Yes.
baby in a way. I'm sure you have the same feeling.
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. On the other hand, I've always been technical, but I knew nothing about blogs and websites or anything. And my journey is a very funny one because I used to live in the United States and I had a business over there. That was where I got introduced to luxury furniture for babies and children. And, I was designing nurseries as well as selling beautiful furniture, and then lost everything in the recession in 2008 and moved back to England. And it was really just in a bid to save my business that made me go onto Google and type in how to build a website really quickly, because I had 30 days. I had given our landlord a 30-day notice, and we had told our customers, oh, we're going to be online in 30 days, and we didn't have a website or
Oh
anything
my
like that.
God.
And I couldn't afford to pay for one. So I had to learn very quickly how to do it. And when it was on there, it's funny what you said about different stages and how things are when the boys were really young. And plus I came back from the US pregnant with my fourth son as well. So, but it was such a different season because I was navigating so many things. I don't think I was as driven as I am now. I think I was more desperate to just survive. I was in survival mode, you know.
So you were
And
at a different stage in your life because
that's
you're.
it.
Anyway, I
Yeah.
mean, when did you start all of it? When? How did you leave work with your first pregnancy? Did you
So
have
with
some
my
time?
I did. So I just had your standard maternity leaves after, and my first three are very close in age. So as I was completing one maternity leave, I was getting pregnant almost immediately
Yeah.
again. So I had the first two are 17 months apart, and I was working, and then the third one is 2 years after my second. And so I stopped work when my third came, but I worked when I had the first two.
All the
Because
first
they were so close in age, I didn't really spend that much time working. And then I then left, and then I went into interior design, which I was able to do at my own pace. So it was a little bit different
time.
then. Yeah, and you know, youth as well. When you're younger, your priorities are different, and you see the world differently. And then you get older, you're like, why was I so stressed about all of that? You know, you just didn't know that it was
Exactly.
going to get
I
better.
think it's like confidence. Like, I journal a lot, and I came across some journal the other day, and it just shocked me to see the Cecile in the 20s being so uncomfortable with her own skin and lacking so much confidence. It's
Mm,
just scary. Now I'm looking back and I'm like, why? I mean, I stopped myself
mm.
grabbing so many opportunities just because of me, no one else.
Yes,
Now,
yes,
if people were giving me these opportunities, I wouldn't even think about it twice. I'd go for it because I care less what people think. I
yeah.
want to try new things more, I think, in a different way. I
Mm.
don't know. It's just so strange.
It is. So that's another thing we have in common, Cecile, is journaling because I am an avid journaler.
Oh, I love that. I think
What
it's really good.
it's so therapeutic. What do you journal about?
So basically, I am because I read a lot, I listen to a lot of podcasts,
Hmm.
and it really helped me when I started feeling overwhelmed. So I
Hmm.
started doing like gratitude list.
Okay, yeah.
So I have my morning routine. I get up in the morning super early. The boys are not awake. It's just a room because obviously, you know, working from home, especially during COVID and lockdown, it was getting so busy, just the
That's
three of
right.
us.
Yeah.
So I like the peace in the morning. I have my hot water lemon. You know, I start the day, and then first thing I do, I make sure that I don't go on my computer on my phone because obviously, given my job, I end up always being on my computer.
Always. That's right.
So
Yeah.
my phone is on airplane mode, and I will grab my journal. I write three things I'm grateful for, and then I write how I feel for the day, what I want to achieve, and other things I want to do today. So it's kind of I see it as manifestation. You know,
Yeah.
people say oh, manifestation is this woo-hoo thing, like you go to
No.
the star and things happen. To me, manifestation is I write on paper what I want to do today, and I have that at the back of my mind for the rest of the day. Therefore, I'm going to act upon it. And it's
Mm.
me creating my own future, you know, like meeting my own dreams. And then I've just started doing it for a few weeks. I journal. It's called free writing,
Oh,
freelance
right.
writing.
I've heard of
You
that.
just
Yeah.
write whatever is coming to your mind.
Mind. Yeah.
And I scribble 2 or 3 pages. I'm a fast writer and I love it. And I
Mm.
think it really set me up for the day. You know, very often I write about what's on my mind,
Yeah.
negative thought, what's bothering me, who
Yeah.
is bothering me. I
Mm.
put it on paper and I forget about it because our thought 80% of our thoughts are the same. They come back all the time, and very often it's all the negative things that come
Yeah.
back. The grudge, all the things. So I take it on paper, I take it away, and then my mind is fresh. I'm ready. The boys get up at 7:15. If I have time, I meditate.
Mhm.
I have been pretty bad with meditation over Christmas. No, it's like you were talking about your watch. You stop your good routines. It's
Yeah.
Christmas. I'm getting
Yeah.
back into it, but I am not gonna like I'm not going to stress myself about it. If I
Mm.
have time, I do a bit, or I do a bit of breathing exercise, and it's fine. I will get back to it slowly but surely. Progression over perfection, and I'm fine with that. And that's my start of the day, and it really helps me. I mean, people think, oh, is it a waste of time journaling and all the things? I think actually I am way more productive
I
because
agree.
I am focused on what I want to do. It's yeah, it's just I think it really helps, and that's one of the things mum can do basically to have this balance. I feel more balanced, even
Yeah.
though I'm probably more productive. So I do less, but I do better. especially in times like today, you know, it's all about, oh, I'm busy. The word busy, everyone has to be busy. We're
Everyone
always
does.
busy on our phone. We're always busy. Your mind is busy, and you don't even reconnect with yourself sometimes. And it's when you get overwhelmed and you don't have this balance, I think. I think sometimes we are the problem. We create it ourselves.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
agree.
stepping back and posing, reflecting, writing. I'm better at it, but again, you know,
Yeah,
I've been doing it for a couple of years now.
I
So
agree
I'm
with you.
learning. I'm not
That's
perfect at it.
good. That is so
What do
good
you
to hear.
journal about? What do you?
What do I journal about? So a lot of times I journal, I mean, everything. So I do gratitude lists as well, but I don't do it every day. I used to do it every night before going to sleep. And I can swear by that. If you're stressed or worried, write 3 to 5 things you're grateful for before you go, and you will sleep like a baby and you'll wake up feeling refreshed. So
I
I
like
do
doing
that
it for
sometimes.
fun as well. For kids, it's very good. You know, at their age.
At that exactly, to encourage them to, absolutely. And then I also, the other day I wrote, I was feeling rather stressed. This was back in November, and I was worried about a few things, about the business, about life, just different things. And I could feel myself just getting into the zone of worry. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever done the Enneagram test, but I'm a 9, which means that you've never. It's a brilliant personality test, and the 9 means that we crave inner stability and peace more than anything. And for me,
Okay.
that is number one. So if anything's wrong at all, the first thing I need to do is make sure that I'm calm on the inside. And if for any reason at all I'm not calm on the inside, everything has got to pause, and I have to find that calmness. And so I couldn't get to that place, you see, but then I remembered a tool that I've used a few times in the past, which is to write a day in your life, but write it in the future and in the present tense.
Oh, I
So
love doing that.
yeah, exactly. So that's a really good one. So I had written and I wrote, today's the 28th of February, 2023, because I didn't want it to be so far in the future.
Mm.
I needed it to be relatable and not so far. And I wrote a beautiful description of what life was like for me, the people in my life. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase by Jim Rohn that says, you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Oh
So
yes, I love that. Yeah.
isn't that a good one?
It is
But
so true. It's so
it's
true. Until
true.
someone tells you, you're like, oh my God, that's actually true. When I heard it the first time, I was like, I never realized, but this is scary.
It is, yeah, you're right. It's scary, but it's great because it makes you intentional about what you have in your space. But do you know that I've always felt that that referred to friends and friendships. But recently, toward the end of last year, it hit me that it's not just that, it's anybody that's in your space
Your
regularly.
network. Yeah, your
Absolutely.
connection.
Your
I think I think
connections.
your tribe. You are never an island, and I am sure that
Mm,
I'm certain that I wouldn't be the person I am, and I wouldn't have the success without my tribe, my friend, my family, my girlfriend. So
exactly.
many tribes to and use the knowledge. You know, there's nothing better than having a problem and you can't get it out of your head. Ask a
Yeah.
friend, someone you trust. What do
Absolutely.
you think? What should I do? You need other opinion. That is 100%.
Absolutely. And you need people to speak into your life and to see the sides of you that you don't see. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
some of
absolutely.
my closest friends are so good at. I remember once I was driving home from work, and my best friend called, and I was just lamenting and saying, and she says, "Tokes, I don't actually see what you're seeing. This is who I see." And she began to describe me
We see
and
ourselves differently because we talk now with ourselves. We are our worst enemy in a way.
exactly, exactly. So we love journaling as a tool for finding balance. We don't want to use the word, but for getting ourselves into an emotionally healthy place.
Yeah.
What else do you do? What else can you suggest besides that?
Well, the classic, like, I love going for a nice walk. We live in Kent, beautiful. Sometimes, if I am overwhelmed or if I feel I've got a lot on my mind, I would just take the time. I go for a walk for an hour.
Yeah.
I used to think, oh, but that's a waste of time. I've got so many things to do on my to-do list. Quick, quick, quick. I need to rush. But I come home, I'm peaceful. I've got fresh ideas. It's always my best ideas when I'm out and about on my bike. I
Yeah.
walk. I also like meditation. If I don't have the time or if it's not really your thing, something as simple as breathing, exercise breathing. Just sit up and take a deep breath for 1 or 2 minutes. I do that with my son as well. We're starting to do yoga. I found a very cute book. It's a yoga with bunnies.
Oh.
So every night after school, we do yoga pose with our bunnies. So we do the and everything. And obviously, he's sick, so he's laughing, he's giggling. He's not doing it like very seriously, but I'm just
Yeah, but
introducing.
still you're teaching him that time, quiet time and time by himself is not wasted time, which is what the world has been telling us. What are you wasting time for? No, it's not wasting time.
Yeah, and just, find this peace in yourself. I read once in a book, and I would never forget it. I can't remember the book now, but this lady was saying, we think so much. All our thoughts, imagine there are trains on a platform, and we've got 50 and 80,000 thoughts a day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Imagine all those trains and they go fast. Which one can you catch? You can't. It's impossible. When you have this image, you realize, actually, I'm going to lower those trains. I'm just going to have 2 or 3 platforms and I'm going to go slowly on it. I'm not going to go and rush this one. This image of the train to me is sticking because we tend to think if I do more, I do
I get,
better.
oh yeah, that
And
is
the thing is,
true.
you tend to be overwhelmed, you stressed out, you don't do things properly, and
Yeah,
I don't think you progress so much.
I agree.
And so yeah, that's the one thing I do as well. I try to stick to 3 things. So every morning I will have a post-it note with 3 things I want to achieve today. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if I've done them, then I feel great. Whereas, sometimes with it's on my to-do list, the
Yeah,
long one you never ever look at and you don't even get through anywhere.
that's right. That's so true.
I
And
think
then
that's
you feel
another
more
thing.
overwhelmed, don't you? Because you
You feel
didn't.
guilty with yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, like, yeah, prioritize, set boundaries, don't
Mhm.
overload, and you need to prioritize yourself. I think it's very important to know when you are the most productive. I'm a morning person. I
Yeah.
do my morning routine and then I'm ready to work. But for example, I'm going to pick up my son today at 2:30 and that's it. I don't take any phone call. I don't do any meeting. The afternoon is him because I'm not productive in the afternoon and I want to spend this time with him. So
Same.
yeah, prioritize, have your boundaries. It's a good way, I think, to find a good harmonic life. Think
Mhm.
about what's important to you and also what's close to your value. For
That's
example, my values is success, work, family, being my own boss, but my family is always my priority. Therefore, I have this time,
yeah.
9 to it's work time, and there are times when I'm behind with the schedule or with the deadline. I might be like, okay, what's a bit of cartoon I'm going to work, and it's fine. But overall, if I do it 80%, 90% of the time, then I'm
Yeah.
good.
That's good. I really, really love that. So it's not for us to be so hard on ourselves by piling on. And you're right, there is this societal pressure that the more the better. So if you
Mm,
can pile more onto your list, the better. The other day I
mm,
realized something about myself that I don't value things that are simple. So I
yeah.
was writing, what was I writing? I was writing a list for someone. No, so I was actually, I run a coaching, I'm currently running a coaching program, and I was talking through some activities that one of my clients needed to do. And I said to her that if we had this meeting about a week or 2 weeks ago, I would have come up with 8 different things for you to do. But now
Yeah.
I understand that it's not about quantity, but it's about quality, and it's about just do what needs to be done and don't place more value on activities because they are complex or because there are many of them. And that was something that I had been doing. So it caused me
Mm,
to now look back and think, what else have I discounted in my life because it was simple? And
yeah.
the thing is, how I even got into interiors was when I read a book and the someone had written it to the author and asked the question, how do I know what my gift is? And the author said, your gift is that thing you do so effortlessly that everyone else thinks it's a big deal except you. So for me, that was interiors because everyone loved my home and they asked me to come and do theirs. But then if I hadn't read that in a book, I would have ignored something that came so naturally to me that brought me
Yeah.
so much joy because it was effortless for me. So I find that a lot of times we place more value on the things that cost us time, cost us money. And it's the simplest things, like you said, in the afternoons, switching off your phone and spending time with your son, and not even judging yourself for not being productive in the afternoon, because that's something I would have
Because
done.
you need it. I think we really need it. And it's like, I was thinking about it actually this morning. I listened to a podcast once, and the man was saying, we are like nature, we work in a cycle. And right now, I was dropping Stanley from school, and it was beautiful outside, it was cold, and we were talking about fields that were empty, and I thought that's what nature is about. It's a cycle. This field, this is his break, his pause, his relaxing time, and in spring it will be used. But we don't do that for ourselves. Do you ever do, oh, I'm going to have a break? Or if you have a break, you feel guilty because you have a break. But you need it. We are cyclic,
Cyclical, I think.
cyclical creatures. We need it. And I hate it at this time of the year when people go, new resolution, this, that, new me, new me. It's cold. We've just been from Christmas, and I'm just going to take it slowly. I'm not going to have 10 targets I'm going to smash for 2 days, and then I'll be so overwhelmed and tired, I'm going to give up. I think right now I'm going to be like this field. I'm going to be in my winter mode, and it's going to be fine because I'm going to lay down all my stuff for the year ahead, and that's how I'm going to be good.
You're speaking my language. It's so funny because before you came on, that was exactly what I was talking about, how I had to make the decision to not get into the whole new me, new year vibe, and also to avoid an excessive amount of motivational and inspirational stuff, because it is overwhelming. And I liken it to overstuffing yourself. Just because it's healthy or good food or it's tasty doesn't mean that too much of it will not hurt you. And so you find that, and I literally just had to make my mind up, because this time of the year is just fraught with all of the inspiration and all of the motivation and the goal setting and the vision boarding and the targets, and it's so much, and you can feel overwhelmed if you don't feel the way that they're saying you should be feeling, or if you're not inspired or you don't feel motivated. Then you start to, what's wrong with me? And you begin to pile on things you don't need just so that you can fit into the status quo. But I agree with you 100%. I don't like that at all. I think that
don't you feel like, I think it's talked a lot on social media. It's probably more of a thing of the past. I feel like more and more people are like, this new resolution is nonsense, and we don't go through and we overwhelm ourselves. I hope so. And even if I do a post on Instagram sometimes about this, I was talking about Blue Mondays. It was supposed to be Blue Monday. This is another thing that is not annoying, but kind of, because I'm strong enough to think it's a normal Monday. But there are people who mentally can't cope with these kind of things, and they're going to put more pressure, especially mums, They're going to put a lot of pressure on themselves and think, oh, that's just a terrible day. They get up in the morning.
It's to be terrible as well.
And they're going to feel terrible just because of that. This mindset is, it was a normal day. It's just, and it's winter. I mean, what else can you do? Do something nice for yourself. Have a bath, have a candle, read a book, even little things. It's just, I love talking about the harmonic work-life balance. I don't have the right answer. I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't have the answers. What I'm saying is, I do this, I do that. You can try.
This is what works for you.
What is right for you, because we are all different. And if what someone is doing doesn't work for you, then there's no need to have any guilt about it. If you try, or if you don't want to try, if it doesn't work for you, or if it's not your cup of tea, then fine.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Listen, we need to have more conversations. Where in Kent do you live? I live in Bromley.
Oh my God! I used to live in Bromley.
Oh, did you?
I used to be in Shortlands.
Oh, not far from me. So I'm in Bixby.
Oh my God, not far at all. Yeah. I loved it there. We lived, so I arrived in the country in 2008. I was working as a French assistant in school, and I got a position in two school in Bromley. So I used to live in Beckenham, and then I met grumpy boyfriend. He was from the area. So we lived there for 10 years.
Okay.
And yes, and when I started my blog, It was working really, really well, and I was back teaching, and I didn't really like it that much. You know, when you're a new mom, you've got
That's right.
different, yeah, a bit like you had to adapt and do something different because of circumstances. And we were like, oh, should we move out of London, buy a house in the country, and make the big move? And I was like, okay, let's do this. And I'm going to do my blog full time. I
Oh,
love Bromley. I've got so many lovely memories. Oh, I
oh,
have to go
bless.
to London with you. We have to come for a coffee or something. That'll be
Absolutely.
fun.
Well, you know what? We probably walk past each other in the glades at some time, at some point.
Oh, no problem. It was so nice. I would go every day or every week with a
Yes,
baby. You know, I was saying
I know,
earlier. And I'd be
lovely.
like, oh, yes, new pieces. And then the week
Yes.
after, oh, that's the same. I'm getting bored now.
Oh my
So, how
gosh.
long have you
No.
been in Bromley then, since you're back
Oh,
from America?
yes. And even before we moved to America, we were in Bromley, and then we sold our home, moved, and then came back to Bromley. So I've lived in Bromley for, oh, how old is my oldest? For over 20 years in total.
Oh my God. Are you
Yeah.
originally from? Oh,
Well, I am. So I was born in Scotland, but I grew up in Nigeria and then came to England when I was in my teens. And then when I came, I lived in East London for a bit, and then Northwest London, West Hampstead. I was in West Hampstead for many years. And then when I got married, I moved to South London, and then we moved to Bromley when we bought our home. So
that's like, I didn't know you were originally from Scotland. You don't have an accent. Did you live there? Or? Not
barely,
really.
barely. I was a baby. I was a baby. My name Tokes is the short form of Tokumbo, which is the Nigerian name, and it means brought back from over the sea. So it
Oh,
literally
that's
means,
lovely. I
yeah.
love that. That's fabulous. I absolutely love that. I want my name to mean something. It means nothing. And
I'm
people
sure
say,
it
"Oh,
does.
well, it's from caegulus in Latin, which means blind. So my partner always laughed because I'm nothing without my contact lenses. I can't see anything. This is ironic. So
Oh
yeah, my name is boring. Yours is way better. Come
my, I'm
on, I'm gonna have to talk
sorry.
to my mum about this.
You know what? I'll find a Nigerian name for you and christen you.
Oh yes, please. I would love to. That would be fabulous.
Oh my gosh. How do you, because we talked about mom guilt briefly. How do you handle it? What is that like for you? And has it
Well,
changed over the years as well?
so mum guilt, again, I think it's about confidence and where you are in your motherhood journey. When I started being a mum, I used to feel it all the time, especially when I went back to work after my maternity leave, having to drop my baby at the nursery, being a young mum, and he was always sick. I had this constant guilt. I was a teacher in Bromley, working part-time, and I remember when I came back to work, telling my friend, I'm going to be super strong. I'm not going to work on Mondays and Fridays because they're my days off. And you know what? The first week when happened, I was on my laptop, I was marking book, I was preparing lessons, and I was like, oh, this is a disaster. I am not doing what I'm saying. And I felt extremely guilty. And one day I remember I was on the desk and Stanley was like trotting, he was starting to walk and he just grabbed my hands like, what are you doing? Today's my day. And I would never forget that. That guilt was constant. It was just little things, feeling sorry or feeling like I had to apologize because I had
Yeah.
to call in sick at 5 o'clock in the morning and say, I'm going to do my cover work, but my baby's here again. Sorry, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
It was always in my mind. And I think the worst was feeling so much guilt. My colleagues were lovely. They were all ladies in the department. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not trying to get an extra day
Yeah.
off. And they were like,
It is
don't
what
be
motherhood
silly.
is
We know
like.
you're
Yeah.
not. We know you're a professional. But deep down, I hated it.
Yeah. I
I
hear
think
you.
the mum guilt is something you build again with confidence. I've had 7 years to think about it. And the truth being told, it will never go. I think even when I'm with a child who is 20 years old, I'm probably going to have mum guilt. There will always be some time.
Yeah.
So that's very important, first of all, to say it's going to happen. And I need to just get over it. It's going to last a few minutes, an hour, a day, whatever. Tomorrow is another day. Once you've been through that, forget about it and it's a fresh start. So that's the first thing to say. And also, mum guilt as well is often linked to us. It's something we put in our mind.
Mm.
It's you feeling guilty.
Yeah.
For me, the worst and it's an easy way to avoid mom guilt, is to stop comparing yourself to others.
Love it. Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's so easy, you know. I'm at the park, I see a kid who's super confident on the slide. Mine is a bit scared, and I'm like, what am I
What
doing
am I
wrong?
doing
Why is
wrong?
he not as
Yes,
brave as this
exactly.
one? You know, this little chat you have in your mind, or you go to the school run and this mum always looks fabulous, and today you've just put your old jeans and you have barely brushed your hair. What am I doing wrong? It's always this comparison. As soon as you stop comparing yourself, I think the mum guilt already lowers down a bit. Like there's not this is this voice you have to stop. And yes, that mum will do that better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, she'll be better with they cook their food, you know, they have all 12 fruits and vegetables, and
That's
if
right.
yours are cooking, fabulous. But you know what you're good at, she'll not be good at. We all have our skills, we all
Yeah,
have other bits, so comparison is not needed. It's
it's
just
not needed. Yeah.
it's gonna hurt you anyway. So, you know, that's something to stop mum guilt. And also, we were talking earlier about sticking to your values. I
Mm.
think as long as you stick to your values and you have them in mind, I've got them mine written in my planner, my diary. I see them every day, and again, it's in my mind. It's there. If I do things according to my values, then I won't have this mum guilt
Mm, mm, mm.
because
I
I will
love
do something. I prioritize. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, the boundaries we were talking about earlier. It's not right. It's not wrong to say, today I'm going to think about me. You know, before coming in here, I had a lot of work. I did a bit of work this morning. And then I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to be feeling peaceful. So I made myself a nice cup of tea. I put some makeup on, which I normally don't when I work from home. I did a bit of meditation. You know, I took the time to pause and be ready for it
Yeah.
because there for me it's important. I love talking about, you know, having a good balance as a mum. And because it's close to my value, that helps me as well
Yes.
to
Yeah.
avoid mum guilt in a way because you know it's fine. My mum guilt, my work guilt because I'm a boss and entrepreneur and a mum.
Mm.
It's fine. I deal with it tomorrow. It's just you know, if someone gives me an opportunity that doesn't align with my values,
Mhm.
then I will say no, and I
Exactly.
won't feel guilty about it because you know it will be a waste of time if I say yes. I don't think I've ever been a people pleaser because I'm quite strong-minded. But
Mhm.
this year, I'm gonna say no
No,
even more.
you say no before they even ask.
It's true, and not feel guilty about it. You know, it's
Yes.
just like it's just little things like I don't know, friends or family wants to do things. You know, someone wanted to do something with us weekend. I was like, no, sorry, I've planned this weekend with my boys. It's just the three of us. And yes, I understand you want to see my son and spend quality time with him, but no, this is my moment. It's in the diary. It's mine, you know. And it's also something I do a lot to avoid mom guilt. I plan a lot. I don't know about you, but I'm nothing without my planner. I love my diary. I have it here. I've got it from last year. I have the fashion planner. Oh, it's just so I block basically.
Mm.
I block times in my diary
Okay.
and for my family, and I plan ahead, like months ahead,
That is
because
so
I
good.
feel more organized, and then I'm not so overwhelmed. I don't
Yeah.
feel guilty to say no. And this year, I listened to a podcast again last week, and this lady was saying, "What kind of things do you put in your planner?" So I looked and like meeting, this deadline, and
Mhm.
she was like, "Is there anything about having a break? Anything about you?
Oh,
Do you do that?" I don't, and I'm going to do it this
oh,
year. I
yeah.
started taking some time. You know, next week, I know, weather dependent, I'm going to do a sunrise walk. This is
That's
going to
right.
be my time when I'm not working, you know, or I'm going to block 30 minutes to have a bath, or I'm going to block, I've blocked all my little bits next week. There are some times I'm going to have for myself. And
Yeah.
it will be in my diary, so I don't have a meeting, I don't have a deadline, I don't have to answer to
That's so
email. I'm not
good.
going to it's just, isn't it simple? I
That's
was like, this is so silly. Why have I never done that? I plan everything, but I don't plan my me time and my relaxing time.
same
When
here.
we talk about needing it anyway, if you want to be productive and like basically working in your life.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And as you were speaking, I thought to myself, because I'm a planner addict, but I'm not
Really,
as
how
good
can
a
you like
planner as you sound like you are. I in love with the idea of planning, and I love my planners. I don't have mine right next to me. I've shown it to you. It's beautiful. I use the Simplified Planner by Emily Lay, which is an American brand.
Nice.
However, you know, however, I'm not. I think I'm not utilizing it as well as I could do, because I write mostly lists of things I need to do. But I love the idea of planning in rest, because I never ever do it. Never actually have
I
I.
like about the Passion Planner. I don't have my new one. This is my old one. I wish I had
Okay.
that. There's a page every month when you like review. So they say, what advice would you give yourself at the beginning of the month? The three biggest lessons you learned this month.
Okay.
Review your planner and what did you do well. You know, they make you think. And again, it's
Wow.
the reflection I do every month. And I'm like, okay, I did that well, but that didn't go well.
Hmm.
And you know, it's very good as well to like celebrate your success. You know, we were talking about mom guilt.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna feel guilty about so many things in my life. So when I have a little success, as little as it is, you know, if it's my son today saying, "Yes, I want your smoothie, Mama, with your 7 fruit," I'll be like, "Yes, feeling amazing. I got it today."
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. I love everything you said about mom guilt, because I never realized while you were speaking, it hit me that it's actually an emotion that passes. I've never seen it that way before. I've just seen it as something that we are expected to have, and therefore we should. And when I go back to when we were talking about Blue Monday, it also hit me that there are certain phrases that are thrown into the atmosphere that create a negative expectation of it to happen.
Yeah.
And Blue Monday is definitely one of them. It's not to
Mhm.
say that the psychologist that came up with the concept was wrong, but just because something is in existence doesn't mean it needs to be promoted and celebrated as though it would benefit people. Because now people are expecting that on Monday they will have a bad day, on a Blue Monday, whatever, the third Monday of January, they have a bad day.
Yeah.
And then the mom guilt is another one that we talk so much about. And I know personally that I've accepted it as a very normal part of being a mom, but
Yeah.
acceptance is different from expectation in some ways. No, actually, no. Acceptance is different from embracing it and almost craving and wanting it, because you think that if I'm not feeling guilty as a mom, then I'm failing somehow as a mother. And that also is not true.
Yeah, that is true. But it's all about like social, not acceptance, but like expectations. And I
Yeah.
think people are really good actually at sharing these kind of things on social media, like, you know, even small or big account like Mum on Instagram,
Mm.
who are showing you the truth, you know. I mean, I like sharing beautiful photos, but there are times when I say, okay, today didn't work out,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
absolutely. Being
Because we
honest
are, at
about
the end of
it.
the day, we are humans. You have to stop being too tough on yourself.
That's
And I think the thing with mum guilt, very often it's in your mind. It's the problem with yourself. You creating this. Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, it's so rare. How many, you know, it's so rare people tell you, oh, you didn't do that right. It's just you in your little
You're
mind
right.
saying,
Nobody says that to you, except if you've got, like, certain types of people in your life. But
or
you're right.
sometimes you read into things. You know, sometimes people tell you a comment
Yes.
and you're like, did he or
What
she
did you
mean
really
that?
mean by that?
Paranoid. It's paranoid. You know, you're being paranoid. It's
You're
when
right.
you think about it, you're like, actually, no, that wasn't the context. I just, again, we're emotional, you know, and it's also down to hormones, I suppose, you know, as
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
We take things different depending on how we feel inside out.
Exactly. You're right. And that comparison thing, I didn't think of it, even though I know it to be true, but I've never seen it as an as a cause until when you said it. And I was taken back to when my boys were little and they were in elementary school in the United States. I remember going for a parents evening, and for my oldest, no, my I think it was my oldest son. And so we were in there in the class, and we were speaking to the teachers, and it was their first, it was a new year for them, a new school year for them, and they're asking all this question. Everyone's asking all these questions, what to expect. And the United States education system is very different, and even the way the classrooms are run is so different from here. And so we're learning, what do we expect, what are we supposed to be doing? And I remember a mom's asking the teacher, how about art? Because Skylar, like literally the phrase and her voice, it's been over 15 years now, but I still remember, maybe about over 15 years, definitely. And I remember her saying, because Skylar excels in art. And instantly I thought, oh my God, I don't know what my son excels in. What kind of mom am I? What do my
Yeah.
children excel in? I
I
don't
know,
know.
exactly. But you probably knew it anyway deep down, but you still starting doubting yourself. There's no way you didn't know that. You knew it deep down, I'm sure.
Exactly, exactly. And even then, I mean, it's not, you can't, like you said, 50 to 80,000. I remember reading somewhere some account even says 80,000 to 120,000 thoughts per day. Why
Yeah.
do we cherry pick just one and obsess over it, especially when it doesn't bring us joy?
How do you call that in English? You know, when you have a negative thought and you think about it again and again and again.
Um,
Oh,
I
God.
can't think of
I
what
can't.
that is, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, because yeah, I
Insistent
read
or
that
an
not too long.
intrusive thought, an insistent,
Yeah,
yeah, it just keeps on.
80% of the thoughts are negative. And
Yeah,
when I read that, I was like, I thought back about it. I was like, yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I'm thinking, oh, she did that the other day, or oh, he did that, my partner, whatever, or with me. And how is that helping you? It's not helping you. It's just
no.
causing fire inside you. It's a bit like the cartoon by Disney, Inside Out. Which one do by doing that, you actually change the angry character going through there. It's just scary.
It is.
It's just, and if
But
you don't, if
it's
you're not aware, you can't
mhm.
control it. I think that's why, as soon as you're aware, like this
Yes,
80% of the thought negative is
yeah,
always at the back of my mind. I wrote it somewhere. And if I start doing that, it's like I read once a woman saying, next time you have a negative thought about someone you meet on the street or you come across, stop yourself straight away and think something nice. Sometimes you have this little judgmental thing like,
yeah,
oh my God, what did she think when she was wearing that? Now
yeah,
I'm really, really cautious. And as soon as I have one of these negative thoughts, I'm
yeah,
like, stop yourself. I love a skirt, or oh my God, I love a
yeah.
lipstick. I try to find something positive to think about that
We have
person.
to. We have
I
to. And
try.
it's funny because I think also that my understanding of why we even think so many negative thoughts in the first instance is because the primitive brain is constantly searching for danger. So maybe not,
Yeah,
telling,
that's
tricking
true.
us
That's
about the way,
amazing.
but we're constantly searching for danger to protect us. And so we are drawn to the negative, and it's supposed to be a protective mechanism, but it doesn't always work in that fashion. And so I
Well,
have
it's
a
because of history, isn't it? Because in the past we used to like chase and
yeah,
like with lions.
animals and run away from wild animals and stuff. Exactly. So it makes sense that that's there, but we are not in that sort of environment right now. But still, we're looking out for danger, which is why the news can be quite negative often because you're
Do
riveted
you
to it.
know? I don't. I feel guilty sometimes because I'm not aware of what's going on in the world. Sometimes my partner is like, "Did you see that? It happened." I'm like, "No."
Same
And he
here.
goes, "Oh, you don't know about what happened." I'm like, "I know, but it's specific. I do not want that in my life. I've
Yeah.
got enough right now. Thank you."
Right, exactly. My husband's that way as well. Like he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna," and I say to him, "Listen, if it's negative, don't tell me." Well, somebody was, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Or he would tell me, and I say, don't give me the details. Don't go into details. I don't need to see graphic images in my mind of what
I
actually
think it's
happened.
emotionally though. Women react differently. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my partner, he gets the news, he loves it, and he doesn't get emotionally attached
No, that's
or.
my husband. Yeah, he can actually watch something gruesome, and he would factually report it back. But I'm like, you're
Oh
right.
God.
They're
Yeah.
so different. I have another tool that I use when I'm obsessing. I think that's what the word we were looking for is obsessing over a negative thought.
Yeah.
And what I do is and this is where journaling is so helpful. I write a list of everything on my mind. So I do a complete brain dump, whether it's good, it's bad, whether it's true, it's a
I
lie.
like that.
I just put everything down. And then I draw two columns on a piece of paper and I start to take each one. And the first thing you
Mm,
notice is that you have various thoughts of the same thing. So where you may come up with a list of 15 thoughts, maybe eight of them, seven of them, 10 of them even are the same thought, but they're just showing up differently. So
I see.
immediately you've reduced the number of worries. And then I take whatever's left and I write all of them on one column, and on the other side, I write fact or assumption. And then you find that most of the
I
thoughts were
like
assumptions.
that.
They're not even real. And so
That's paranoia, isn't it?
yeah. And then if it's an assumption, I toss it out. If it's a fact, now I can deal with the one thing that really matters, if at all, and then move on from that. But it's really important that we work hard to not allow the negativity to overwhelm us.
But it is work, though. I think that's very interesting. You use the word work. It is a work in progress. It is something you have to be conscious about and make a conscious effort. And very often we just let ourselves go with the flow of life, and we're too busy. We have to keep busy. We get back to the same kind of topic we were talking at the start.
Exactly.
We don't take the time to pause and reflect, because that's like pause and reflection. And then you realize when you step back, that's not as bad as you think in the first place.
Right.
It's about you regulating your emotions and think objectively about it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I love that. I'm going to try it. Thank you so much.
Oh, listen, this has been great. And I know you've got to run shortly, but we will have to pick this up again. I have a podcast called Living Inside Out, and it's all about
mindset.
Yeah. It's about mindset, faith, and entrepreneurship. And I would love to have you on, because I think we have a lot more to talk about.
Oh, that would be lovely. I love this podcast. I actually listened to a couple. I think I listened to your first one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. So I know Instagram is at the Frenchy Mom. The Frenchy Mom. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's your blog address?
So the blog is The Frenchy Mummy, because I am French. What else could I be? I mean, you can't do more French than me, can you?
French than you. Does Stanley speak or understand French?
It understands French, but that's my fault. When we were in lockdown, I had to do all the homeschool, and I switched a lot more in English to do always learning.
Yeah, because of class.
Yeah. So I realized he started thinking, "Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" But he understands, but he always wants to get the easy solution, and he always answers in English. And I had this conversation with a friend. She's got 2 sons, and she was like, "They're the same. It's just this cliche about boys and languages. It just amazing." So my mum keeps saying, "Oh, but he doesn't learn French. You have to teach him French more." And I'm feeling a bit guilty, but I know it's my fault. And again, I'm on it. We are doing.
I mean, he's still young, and he'll pick it up as it goes.
And he takes it in the brain. I don't want to sit him down and be like, "Right, lesson with mummy." He's doing a lot of learning all day. I don't want it to be like a call or something.
No. You want it to be fun. Let him have a fun life.
Yeah, we get to know. We understand. Exactly. Do you speak Nigerian to your family?
It's very disgraceful that they don't speak a Nigerian language. They understand bits of it because, for starters, my husband and I are from different parts of Nigeria, so we don't even speak the same language. The dialect is different. That's one. And then I'm Yoruba, but I grew up in an area called Benin, which is not a Yoruba area. And then I schooled in the north. So I've sort of all over Nigeria. I understand bits of different parts of the languages, but my speaking it is not as good as it should be. But I'm actually learning with my friend, a good friend of mine and I, where we've decided to start speaking Yoruba.
Yeah, you need an accountable partner.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to improve it. Oh, I know there were some comments and questions, which I'm not going to read because I know you've got to run. But any questions, I'm going to force Cecile, my brand new sister, to answer them in the comments, because we're going to post the video so that it's still, you can still watch it, especially if you joined late. But you are so amazing. You are so
thank you so much for having me. You're amazing too for doing this kind of thing. That's, all these things help ladies out there, and, it's fabulous.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we will chat soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Take care.
Au revoir.
Thanks, everyone, for joining in.